A very good morning to you. How are you doing? Welcome back to K24 this morning. Tumemalizana na maneno interactive. Now we get into more serious matters. And today we're talking about redundancy. Now, we're going to be discussing exactly what redundancy is. I know it's a word that has been going around in the country, and probably you're asking yourself, what is it? We're going to be breaking down to you in a few minutes. But right now, though, I am joined by a few individuals here, starting with one, Abraham Muthogo, who is an economist. Karibu tena sana. And then we have as well Miriam Tharao, who's a HR professional. Karibu tena sana.
Thank you.
And then we have also one Moses Rishu, the co-founder of Africa's Pocket. Karibu tena sana. It's a pleasure having you guys here.
Thank you.
I'm always glad to see these faces. I had you a minute ago, alafu kapotea, nikashanga, ulienda wapi, ni namba yangu ulipoteza? Miriam, really?
Not really. I've been around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karibu tena sana.
Thank you so much.
Before I get into the newspaper, because there's something I want to read from here, maybe you can tell us from an economist point of view, what is redundancy?
I think from an economic point of view, in a production process,
Right.
there are factors of production.
Right.
And one of those factors of production is the human capital.
Okay.
Now, depending on your level of production and your technological input in how you produce, you do the production,
Right.
you'll need more or less of that resource. Now, if you look at the economy now, there's a slowdown.
Okay. A slowdown.
Yeah, a slowdown.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, there's a lot of technological disruption.
All right.
Take, for example, the banking sector. The way they are doing their things now, the other day I was reading that, like for Equity Bank, for example, 97% of the transactions were done outside the bank.
That means on our phones,
Yes,
on
our
the
phones,
internet,
yeah.
ATM.
So now you can already see what that means for the cashiers. If you don't look at any other job, the cashier job is on its way out.
All right.
So redundancy comes when now that production process needs less of the human capital.
All right.
So if I don't need it, I don't use it.
Okay.
So if I had 10 and I only need 7, then the 3 have to leave.
All right.
So that is, put bluntly, that's what it is.
Basically, you could get rid of what you don't need.
Yeah, see now, you see for a producer,
Yeah.
it's about profit. I use as little input as possible, produce as much as I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Miriam,
Yes.
you being a HR professional, redundancy sounds like a very complex word. Redundancy also sounds more or less like an insult, like you're redundant, talk up.
It sounds harsh.
Yeah, exactly, it sounds harsh.
Yes.
Maybe from your perspective, just to put it for someone who might look at redundancy like, guy, imagine I'm no longer needed. How would you describe redundancy?
Redundancy.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not also what you'd call retrenchment.
Yes.
But we call it's more or less the involuntary separation of an employee from the organization. Involuntary meaning it's no fault of the employee.
Yeah.
So we can't put them at fault here. It's because either the business is changing its dynamic, it's changing its base, or actually there's no more funding for that position, or even for the projects.
Yeah.
A good example, it's like the NGOs in Kenya right now. Most of them have actually had budget cuts.
Okay.
Yeah, almost 40 to 60% of budget being cut from their projects. That's
40 to 60.
40
That's
to 60
a huge
budget.
chunk,
That's
yeah.
a huge chunk, and we are seeing most of them winding up or facing down. So that's what we call the involuntary separation. And of course, it's a painful process, but it's those difficult conversations that as human resources professionals have to start having with our employees, telling them that their position is no longer required within the structure.
Wow.
And it's
And how soon should you start having this conversation with them? Is it, because I did meet someone who said it's good, or rather it's better, if you just surprise me one day and tell me movie. Shika mshahara ya mwisho.
Enda.
Kutoka
Just
next month,
go.
don't show up.
No, the surprise element actually will also be against the law because legally we are required to give a 1-month notice.
Okay.
Even before we give the 1-month notice, we are supposed to be having these discussions.
Right.
The minute you know as an organization or as a company that you don't have any funds to support the staff anymore,
Yeah.
you need to start preempting with the staff, having open what we call the townhouse meetings, and you explain to them in the simplest terms possible that
avoid a
how the
riot.
business is, the changes in the business,
Yes.
and then give them time also to just think about it, to go and delve into it, for them to know what it means to them. Then thereafter, that's when you can start giving the notices. Because remember, we have NEA, the National Employment Authority, and also the Labour Office, which needs to be notified in good time. So the surprise element here can't work. As an organization, you'll be shooting yourself on the foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Moses, you guys are financial advisors as far as Africa's pocket is concerned.
Yeah.
If you look at the situation right now, I'll be reading an excerpt from the newspaper in regards to that. If you look at the situation right now, is it that the country is broke? Is it that we are, because they say about 8 major companies have literally cut off about 14,000 employees. Is it that we are doing that badly, Kim Fuko?
I don't think it's necessarily a function of the country doing badly. I think, industries might go through shifts.
Right.
Like the betting industry has just gone through a major shift where some companies are finding it unviable.
Okay.
In those cases, there will be job losses or technology improvements, like we've just said, in which case you can, if they've not happened in your bank, they will happen in some time in the future.
Okay.
So there are elements of some companies not doing as well, and there are also elements of technology just changing.
Yeah.
I think regardless of where you are as an employee in any of these industries, it's important to plan ahead because job loss could happen at any point, and that's why we have things like building emergency funds,
Right.
so that you're covered in cases like that.
All right, let me just read what the papers have to say in regards to the redundancy. On page 7 of the Standard, layoffs immoral, senators say in push for answers. And a Senate committee has opened an investigation into the reasons behind the recent wave of job losses. Now, this follows a petition filed by Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala that detailed how at least 9 companies had recently laid off about 14,000 employees. It goes on to say that the root causes include companies that have laid off staff this year include Stanbic Bank, which let go of more than 200 employees, East Africa Portland Cement Company that declared all staff redundant, all the staff, everyone. Kenya Airways that fired about 38 employees, and Fingley Flowers in Kericho where at least 1,700 workers lost their jobs. It goes on to say in another paragraph that Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen, while contributing to the motion, said the complaint across the country is that institutions of government that play oversight roles are among those contributing to the closure of business. You can get all that in your Standard, page 7. But looking at it from what Senator Murkomen said, I mean, Mweshi is saying that even the government somehow is contributing to the fact that people have to, for lack of a better word, get fired.
You see, this is about economic performance. So even if the Senate meets and debates about it,
Right.
we eventually have to drill down to the causes of what is driving these job losses.
Yes.
And there can only be one. What I started by saying, it's a slowdown in the economic growth. And what that portends is that the household income is starting to dwindle.
Okay.
Because
The household, like in
because
my
now,
household.
when your disposable income falls,
Okay.
what happens? Your consumption also falls. When your consumption falls, you demand less. When you demand less, they produce less. When you produce less, they need less factors. And those factors have to go home, including the human capital.
Right.
When that human capital goes home, he comes and makes and joins that cycle, and it goes another cycle. So you can easily be burying yourself into a hole. So what we need to do is to come up with measures immediately to arrest this situation, because what it means is that certain pockets, if not all of the economy, are not doing as well as they should.
Okay.
So it's good they're calling it out as senators, but I think they should push it further to understand why, and then more importantly, what can we do to remedy.
All right. I want to rope in the audience into this conversation, and we will ask you the question of the day, which is redundancy, in your opinion, as the common mwananchi, is redundancy a blessing in disguise? Because a lot of opportunities do come from such situations, or is it a curse? Like if today you're told by your company, nenda home, are you done? And I will actually now come to the HR consultant. Is laying off people really an option, or are there other options such as, in my opinion, because who wants to get fired?
Nobody.
No one. I am, especially the fact that you said it's not my fault.
Yes.
Is there another option, like if I was earning 10,000 bob, can I maybe take a pay cut and say, me, I'm willing to live with 7,000 or even 5,000 as we wait for the times to get better?
Actually, we provide alternatives. As I said, when you know that your organization is not viable in terms of employing the masses, We start having those discussions with staff. And first we look at the alternatives even before we can say we are declaring 10, 20, 30 people redundant. And some of the alternatives that we look at is, one, can we reduce the salaries? Because even staff will come and tell you, okay, how much are we short by? How many millions? If that's the case, can the top level and the mid-level managers then take a pay cut? So someone who was earning like 150 will tell you, you know what, I don't want the person earning 10,000 to go home. How about I get 100 and the rest can go to the person on the lower cadre? So people take options of taking a lower salary. Secondly, also there's option of consultancy, whereby you're not a full-time employee, but you opt to be a consultant with no benefits, whereby you're only paid for the services that you're offering. That's also another option. Yeah. So we look at first the options before we declare. We say now, finally, this is the number of staff that we are declaring redundant.
A company
or
like
sending
East Africa,
home.
Portland, from what we are reading, literally declared everyone. I'm assuming even the CEO.
Everybody went to,
The
meaning they
board.
were starting afresh.
Yeah. There were no such options in such a company?
Well, it probably, as the economist would say, they looked at their books of accounts and probably knew this has to be called for a major reshuffling. But my guess is that there was going to be change of salary and very huge. So they needed everybody and probably a change in the job structure, because if the JD is going to change, requiring new skills and new competencies, it's as good as telling everybody you're going home, you'll have to reapply afresh for these new positions. So it becomes again competitive, because remember, there has to be a strategy in which you're laying off positions. Which method are you using? Is it the leaf or is it the last in, the first out? And if you're rehiring, what new competencies or new skills are you looking at? Such that the process is deemed to be very fair and very open.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Moses, people are, like in all these 9 companies, 14,000 people must see kitu kidogo. This is an entire constituency.
Even one is a lot.
Even one is a lot. I mean, 14,000, that's an entire, where I come from, Mikalasa. This is actually, I think, twice of Mikalasa. So you can imagine all these 14,000 people, Manzejo, do not have jobs or options. What are the, first of all, how do we even see such a layoff coming in a company?
So there are 2 parts to your question. One is how do you see it, and 2, whether or not you see it, how do you prepare?
All right.
So everyone should be preparing, whether or not they see it, and you do that by preparing for an emergency fund, which is just how much money do you need to survive 3 to 6 months, which is a fair enough time for you to figure things out, get your next job, all that stuff, and you should have that money in a savings account somewhere, so you always have access to it. Now back to the question you asked, which is how do you see it coming?
Right.
If you have peer companies in that industry and you see something happen to one of them, like what was just mentioned earlier, banking. If one bank is being disrupted by technology, that tech will catch up. Or if you have industries like, say, manufacturing of, say, foods, as an example, and you see one of the peer companies starting to crumble a bit for lack of demand.
Just know it's catching up.
This stuff, exactly. So trends like that are possible to foresee and be like, this might happen in my industry. And in that case, then it's very important to start upskilling to make sure that should this happen, A, I'm more valuable to the company that I'm in, and B, if I must leave, I can deploy my skills elsewhere, either for myself or for a new company.
Right. Is it possible to actually predict, like he's saying, because he says if bank A starts, crumbling, just know if you're in bank F, chances are pia nyinyi mnakujiwa. But is it possible to actually even predict this in good time for you to actually prepare for that?
You see, and I think she would be in a better position to say this. With the disruption that is, especially banking sector, and I'm talking banking sector because that's most of my career was in the banking sector. When you see that kind of disruption coming, I think you need to look inwards and look at your skill set in terms of relevance going forward. Like now, if you're a cashier, you know that your expiry date is not far. Because remember, like if you use the example of Stanbic, they laid off 200. But I can assure you, if you went there, they have hired new staff. So what basically they're probably doing is 200 guys who no longer fit that the current model of business, and brought in, like now, with the kind of technology we have with AI and smart systems, there's such a huge demand for data analysts that even within that sector, they don't have enough.
Wow.
Yes. I've spoken to many of them. They're telling me, if you have a good one, bring him. So as they're laying these guys off, so basically, maybe their count is not going down, but it is a mix. So for you as a person, you need to evaluate and say, my skill set is not relevant going forward. And also depending on your age, if I have 2 or 3 years to retire, I can take the risk.
Yeah.
But if I'm 24 years, I need to think in 5 years. Because like if you look at the banking sector, very few, even you as a person, in a year you'll go to the bank how many times? So it tells even the whole model of if your job is in the brick and mortar, then you know that there's just a matter of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a phone call? Joshua from Kirinyaga. Good morning, Joshua.
Mbuvi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning to the panelists.
Morning.
Joshua, leo inakaa umechangamkia kahawa.
Nishajitibu tayari, nishapata kiamsha kinywa.
All right.
Nashukuru Mungu. Sasa allow me to contribute on the topic on money and finances.
Please do.
And allow me to touch on redundancy. Now, there is a problem we have in our country, Mbuvi.
Yes.
We are one country that is used to euphemisms, that we never want to call things by their names.
Yeah.
That's why it's only in Kenya whereby we call prostitutes socialites.
Okay. Oh my God.
We call foolish politicians controversial politicians.
Okay.
And conmen in Kenya are called flamboyant controversial businessmen. Now, redundancy in very simple words is simply means that you are unwanted, that you have been fired.
Yes.
And instead of using very colorful language trying to describe why companies undergo redundancy and restructuring,
Right.
when you see a company restructuring, it simply means that the company's fortunes are going south.
Okay.
That the company is unable to maintain its workforce, and whether on how to cope with tough times when you are declared redundant or fired.
Yes.
I think there is no better lesson on this. It's only one thing, that mtu akae ngumu. And the way things are happening in our country, Mbuvi,
Yes.
I think every person who purports to be employed in a corporate
Right.
should brace themselves for tougher times, because things are not good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Okay, Joshua has clearly put it blunt.
Yes.
He's not mincing his words. And obviously, no one would shut down a company that is making profits.
No one.
No one. And for a company like East Africa Portland to lay off everyone, clearly things were bad.
Things were bad, yeah.
And in this particular situation, the employees had almost zero to no options in regards to how they can cushion themselves. But maybe, is there a way even the HR departments of companies can prepare their staff and tell them, look guys, in 3 months, we're actually shutting down? Is there a way they can actually even prepare them psychologically so that people don't end up, killing themselves?
Yes.
Or getting into, mental, whatever,
breakdowns.
health?
Yeah. Certainly, yes. And that's where we are there. We are human resources, human capital, meaning we are the people are the most important even before the assets in the company.
Right.
So we are very mindful of the people in the company. And how we can start preparing is, for me, I prefer the slow face-off of employees, whereby you're not gradually sending everybody home, but you're gradually just streamlining and sending batches of staff home. Okay. And of course, first by preparing them. We have counselors who come in to actually take our staff through the one-on-one sessions. It's hard. We are living in harsh economic times. Yeah. By the way, it's not easy for most people. If all of us were to go to the street and talk about the challenges that we are having as far as finances are concerned, they would be huge, enormous.
Just hold on to that though, because we have a Regan on the line. Regan, good morning.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
What is your question or comment?
Yes. Good morning.
Yes, Regan. Budalangi mko salama?
Nimetaka tu kuulizia.
Yes, Regan, nakusikia, endelea.
Dogo na hii manyonyo makubwa vile unaelewa hali ya Budalangi.
Okay, we have lost Regan. But you were saying?
Yes, so we start preparing them by having a counselor actually at the workplace, where one-on-one sessions are conducted with employees. Because remember, they have questions that they need answers to. They'll be asking the why and the why and the why. And of course, the business is like, we are cutting down, the business is not doing good. So we take them through also financial management. As far as taking care of their mental capacity is, we take care of their financial management, meaning this staff will go home with a good sum of money. We're talking about the severance pay, we're talking about their pension and all the final dues that packages, the final package as they go home. They'll have a lot of money. What do they do with that money? Are they able to utilize it in the best way possible, such that it's not more of just losses they go into immediately, they leave their workplace,
Yes.
but they're able to go into a profitable business where
Okay.
already they've started preempting on what they need to do.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Moses, sometimes you can literally be caught off guard, as much as she said that there are options. I mean, there's a process where NEA has to be informed and you have to be told and, you know, given options and so on and so forth. But sometimes it is so sudden that you literally do not have time. Probably you had loans that you'd taken in the name of the company. Last sasa unaambiwa, dude, 3 months, ama 1 month, manze tunafunga hii kitu. And yet your loan is 2 years.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Really great question. Again, just reiterating that everyone who's not yet laid off, make it a very big priority starting today to build an emergency fund.
Okay.
It's the biggest thing that you can do to protect yourself, regardless of when you ever get laid off or if you ever get laid off. Now, if you are laid off, you need to very rapidly scale back because of things like loans. So if you have loans, you need to figure out, one, can I negotiate with the people who I owe to, for example, stop accruing interest? Because the thing that'll trap a lot of people is
the
people
interest.
not, exactly.
Yeah.
Guys don't go back and negotiate and that interest keeps building. And someone might not know you lost your job.
Yeah.
All they know is my money is due in a month. Right? And then you get late fees and more late fees, and that becomes very trapping. So negotiate first with these people. And then secondly, if you do get money as a severance package, then be very intentional about how you use that.
Okay.
Right?
Can I just hold you on that part because we have a Joshua from Nairobi. Joshua, good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
What is your question or comment?
My question is, if you go, I went to work and asked for my PH days, but
Yeah.
I was forced to resign. Is that legal?
You were told to, you went to your work and you were told to do what?
I asked for the PH leave, but I was forced to resign. Is that legal?
You asked for leave
Yes.
and then you were
holiday.
fired.
Yes.
Is that legal?
That's not legal.
It's not
actually.
legal. Did you? How long ago was this?
It was just like 2 days, so I didn't resign. So I'm still struggling, so wondering what to do.
All right. Miriam will answer your question in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll definitely answer his
Okay.
question, but you were saying something. Emergency fund.
Exactly. So
Yes.
first, emergency fund. Two, if you have any loans, negotiate them so that you, for example, stop accruing interest and maybe even defer when you start paying them again. And three, if you do get a severance package of whatever sort,
Yes.
be very intentional about how you use it.
Yes.
Now, a mistake a lot of people make is I got my severance, I'm going to start a business. But you've never been in business before. That's a very high risk thing for you to do. There's a very big chance that you lose your money.
Okay.
Whereas if you'd, for example, while at working at your job, been trying out a couple of different skills,
Yes.
you know what people will pay you for.
Okay.
For example, yes, you're here, but you may make a phenomenal MC.
Yes.
And you've been doing that. So you know that when you lose your job, you can go out and try being an MC,
Yeah.
and you're not trying this
I'll
thing for
have
the
to
first
ask
time.
you to get married every Saturday now.
Yes.
Exactly. Right? But the point is, you've tried in the past and identified a way in which you can generate income.
Okay.
You're not trying this for the first time with all your money.
Okay.
The money you do get, you need to be quite conservative with it so it lasts you as long as possible.
All right.
Actually, just
The-
to add on to that, we're having very many people trying new businesses immediately, they're out.
Yes.
And then they learn, oops, 2 million has just sunk into the deep of the water.
Yes.
So you need to be multi-skilled such that even if you're a project manager or a cashier in a bank, have something on the side that is already going, such that when you're finally out, you just continue. You'll be pumping in extra capital.
Yes.
Yeah, but not
Okay.
trying a new project
Yes.
that you actually know nothing about.
I feel like you want to say
Yeah,
something.
because it's true. You see, when you're employed,
Yeah.
your mind is of an employee.
Right.
And I'm not saying this with any disrespect to anyone. When you come out, you cannot switch to be an entrepreneur overnight.
Yes.
And I think that the best transition would be, if you're given some money, place it in something that will give you passive income.
Okay.
So as you start getting the proverbial, uanze kuzoea pesa aina hiyo. And then
That's important.
so then as you're getting used to that kind of life,
Yeah.
then you can now start putting your feelers. Because most of us have very busy jobs to an extent that you're always in the studio, you don't know what actually goes out on
Yes.
Kijabe Street.
Okay.
To the day they throw you out. And
That's
then,
when you discover guys.
Yeah, and then you want to put up a vegetable shop, a meat shop, only for you to realize that all these guys here are vegetarians. I mean,
Yes.
because you don't know, because you see it.
Okay.
So it's very important that you go through a transition from
All right.
employee to
And
entrepreneur.
I want us to talk about that transition when we come back from the break. And then, of course, we shall answer that gentleman who said that he was fired after asking for paid
Unpaid
leave, or
leave,
was it unpaid leave or something? Yeah, so we take a short break, but the question that we asked you was, is redundancy a blessing in disguise? Yeah, if you look at it from that perspective, because right now we understand 14,000 Kenyans laid off suddenly just like that. What is the next option? So do you look at this as a blessing in disguise, or are you done? That's how I would put it bluntly. So let's take a short break, and then, of course, we shall talk about the options that we have and find out that guy who was fired, was that illegal? We'll be right back.